Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolutely incredible survival story of one of Europe's smallest and honestly most fascinating nations, the tiny, mountain-locked principality of Andorra. So let's get right to the heart of the puzzle that is Andorra. You've got this country with not one, but two heads of state. And get this, neither of them is actually Andorran. One is the president of France, and the other is a Spanish bishop. So how on earth did that happen? And more importantly, how has this bizarre arrangement actually worked for over 1,000 years? To really get how Andorra is even still a thing, we've got to go way back. We're talking the Middle Ages, where a pretty nasty conflict between two powerful lords led to a political solution so unique it's still going strong today. All right, the absolute key to all of this is a document signed way back in 1278 called the Pareage. Now, a pareage was basically a medieval power-sharing deal, but this one was a stroke of diplomatic genius that would literally define a nation's destiny. Okay, so picture this. It's the 13th century, and the little Andorran valleys are stuck between two huge rivals, the Bishop of Urgell in Spain and the Count of Foix in France. Both of them wanted control, so they had a choice. They could fight a long, bloody war, or they could figure something else out. Well, they chose diplomacy. They signed the Pareages, agreed to share power, and in doing so created the one-of-a-kind co-principality that Andorra is still known for. And this, right here, is the brilliant part. This deal created a perfect stalemate. You see, with both France and Spain having a piece of the pie, neither one could just march in and take over without ticking off the other. It was a political checkmate that guaranteed Andorra's independence, making it way more valuable as a neutral buffer zone than as a conquered territory. So, for the next several hundred years, this unique political shield, plus its super remote location tucked away high in the Pyrenees mountains, meant Andorra was basically left alone. Europe's big wars and conflicts just passed it by. It effectively became a kind of historical time capsule. I mean, think about it. Empires are rising and falling all over Europe, but Andorra's core system? It just endures. The title of the French co-prince eventually passes from that Count of Foix all the way to the president of France. Even Napoleon, a guy famous for redrawing the map of Europe, took a look at Andorra and basically said, yep, this is fine. This incredible stability allowed for slow, steady reforms from the inside, gradually modernizing its ancient political system. But then, the 20th century rolls around, and everything is about to change. Dramatically. The chaos of modern war would force Andorra to completely rethink its entire survival strategy. You see, for centuries, the whole game plan was simple. Stay isolated, stay quiet, stay safe. And you know what? It worked perfectly. But in a crazy twist, during the absolute chaos of the Spanish Civil War and World War II, that very isolation suddenly became its biggest asset. Its neutrality and its secret mountain passes turned it into this vital escape route, a secret highway for refugees and pilots fleeing from occupied France into neutral Spain. And what came next? A total economic explosion. After the wars, Andorra really leaned into its unique position and its new reputation. As you can see here, the shift was massive. It went from this poor, farming-based society to a booming European hotspot for tourism, skiing, and especially duty-free shopping. It was a complete transformation. Well, all this new money and all these new connections to the world meant that the old ways of doing things just weren't going to cut it anymore. This pushed Andorra towards the most important step in its recent history, becoming a truly modern, democratic country. And that brings us to a really crucial year, 1993. This is the moment, really, that Andorra officially steps onto the modern world stage, more than 700 years after that first, clever, medieval deal. Now, what they did with this 1993 constitution was just brilliant. They found a way to keep their history alive, keeping the French president and the Spanish bishop as symbolic heads of state, while giving all the real power to an elected Andorran government. It set up a true separation of powers, guaranteed basic human rights, and finally, it opened the door for Andorra to join the United Nations as a full sovereign nation. Okay, so after this wild ride of 1,000 years, where does that leave this remarkable little nation today? Today, the challenges are totally different. It's not about physical survival between two powerful neighbors anymore. Now, it's about how to thrive in a globalized world. Things like diversifying the economy so it's not just about tourism, protecting their fragile mountain environment, and trying to find that perfect balance between ancient traditions and modern global pressures. So, when you boil it all down, Andorra's story isn't just some weird historical curiosity. It's really a masterclass in diplomacy, in adaptation, and in resilience. It shows how a tiny nation can take what look like weaknesses, its small size, its tricky location, and turn them into its greatest strengths. And that leaves us with this final big question. After 1,000 years of masterfully playing its powerful neighbors off each other to survive, can Andorra now thrive in a new world where those economic and cultural borders are disappearing fast? The next chapter in this incredible survival story is being written as we speak.